Could you just make a sign or tell me in the chat that you can? All right, can you listen to me? I'm reading you in the chat.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. All right, there we go. Then today's presentation is about metacognition or metacognition. We're going to be speaking about what metacognition is. I'm going to show you the objectives in a minute, but this is something very, very interesting. And it's something a little deep in language teaching and learning. So I'm going to ask you to focus on the presentation. And at the end, we're going to have some questions and answers, but also what I'm going to say might not be about anything super new, but about things that we can apply. Yeah, probably your screen is blinking because I have a GIF. I'm going to move on to the next slide in a minute. But what I'm telling you is that probably not everything that I'm going to tell you in this presentation is going to be applicable in your context. But you can feel free to take things that I mentioned and things that you know already to enhance your teaching. And above all, to make your students fully aware of their learning process. All right, so let me move on. So these are my presentation goals. We're going to revisit cognition. We're going to speak about what cognition is. We're going to revisit cognitive skills. We are also going to see a bit about language skills and soft skills. We're going to see the concept of metacognition, a brief history of the study of metacognition, metacognitive knowledge, metacognition enhancing strategies, metacognition in online teaching and learning, and finally a conclusion. This is more or less the outline of what we're going to be doing today. I hope everything is working fine and you can see what we're doing here. All right, there we go. Now, who are you and why are you here? Could you please just use the chat box to briefly introduce yourself, just in a few words, like 3 or 4 words, and why are you here? Just I would like to know a little bit about your profile, and if you could include what level, I mean not level of English, but what teaching context do you teach? I mean, you're teaching elementary or I don't know, secundarias, prepas, high school. I mean, higher education, kindergarten, language center, freelance. I would like to see or more or less identify the profile of our audience today. Are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Could you please use the chat box and tell me about yourself? Introduce a little bit about yourself, just in a few words. Okay, Mariano already answered, but he doesn't really count because he's more or less the orchestrator of this.
Okay, Luis, I'm working at the Instituto Tecnológico de Villahermosa. It belongs to Tecnológico Nacional de México. I'm the coordinator of languages. And why I'm here, because I'm interested in everything related to teaching.
Oh, welcome. I think, yeah, I think English for future engineers is quite important. And I am particularly fond of students in los tecnológicos because they have a lot of discipline and, well, most of them, and they know what they're doing. Yeah, but you cannot see me, but you can hear me. That's okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Could you use the chat box or your voice to introduce a little bit and tell me about why you're here and what do you do?
Me.
Yes, please.
My name is Priscila.
Hello, Priscila.
I am here from the Tecnológico de Lázaro Cárdenas. I have taught in different levels, kindergarten, elementary, and high school too. And I'm here because I think all these topics are so interesting for us, and these topics help us to be better.
Thank you very much. I agree with you.
Be better in our teaching.
I know. You know what? There's always the idea that we should become better, and I really support that idea. We need to be better prepared. But the ultimate goal is to be better teachers, to have better students, no? To transmit all of this knowledge that we gain to our students. That should be the ultimate goal, to provide a better service in order for them to have a better understanding of the language, better acquisition methods, and to eventually to have a better life. Thank you, Marta Aguirre. Thank you, Marta, for being here. She works at PRONI, which is the Programa Nacional de Inglés with kids, and also at the Autonomous University. Thank you, Marta, for being here. Teresa Ortiz, high school teacher. It's very interesting to know more about this topic. Very, very well. Anybody else who would like to use the chat box to introduce him or herself? Or should I move on? Yeah, I'm going to move on. You can quiet. Okay, we're going to do this a little bit interactively. So I am going to send you this link through the chat box and to a Google document. I hope you're working on a laptop. And then I am going to send you this through the chat box a link so that you can go on to this Google document and complete the chart. This is a KWL chart. Hello, Janet. Thank you for being here, Janet. David, thank you for being here. You can't participate too much. That's okay. Just listen. And then remember that this session is going to be recorded. I sent you the link through the chat box. I want you to please go on to this chart, and we're going to use the section 1. This Google document is formed by 3 sections. And then we're going to be using right now the section number 1, which is the KWL chart. We're going to answer only the column number 1 and the number 2, what I know about metacognition, what I want to know. And the other is going to be for the end of the session. So if you please go and write your answers. Hello, Sylvia, good morning. Right now what we are doing is that I'm sending you, or I sent you already, if you cannot see it, just let me know. I sent you a link to the chat box. In that chat box, there's the link, you click on the link, and then it's going to direct you or redirect you to a KWL chart in which you're going to write what you know and what you would like to know about metacognition. I'm gonna post it again. There you go.
Otro, pero que también todo mundo puede enseñar algo al otro. Esas son.
Hello, Sandra. Nice to see you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Please write your ideas, what you know about metacognition, and what you would like to know during this presentation.
It's loading.
It's loading. Okay, okay. That's it. Yeah, I see you guys writing already. And I had 10 lines, 10 numbers, but you can add as many as you need. Like if you are 100 in this session, you can write 100 ideas. This material or this worksheet that I have for you, you're going to have access for it. You're going to have access to it for as long as you want. And this is just to create consensus about what you think and what you would like to learn. Now I see you. Now I see you are writing.
In my case, I can see the chart, but I can't type.
Oh, you cannot type. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry. You just have to, in this case, you're just going to read and think about it, because we're going to comment on it in a minute. That's just not so important. I'm sure you have some ideas that you would like to share a little later, okay? Are you familiar with this chart, the KWL chart? Do you use it or not really? I'm going to give you just 3 more minutes because I have a lot of things to tell you today and I don't want to run out of time. Two more minutes. At 11:21, we're going to stop this activity. We're going to read it, we're going to comment, and then we're going to continue with the presentation. Yeah, Betty, it is very useful because in this way or in this manner, you get an idea of what students know and what they want to know. And knowing what students know help us save time and not teach something that they already know, right? Meanwhile, while you finish, I'm going to try to Are you able to see the document on your screen or not? Or did I do something wrong? Ah, okay. 1 minute and we stop this part of the session. All right, thank you very much for participating in this activity. I think this is very interesting to use these tools because, you know, right now that we're teaching online at a distance, it's important to have these kinds of tools, know and use them. And then I'm just going to go very quickly through what I know about metacognition, about that column. What I know about mind maps, monitoring plans, pictures, and self-evaluating exactly. That's part of metacognition. Students and we teachers need to know how to make mind maps, but above all, it means to know why they are used, how they are made, and why are they important? What is their use? Why can we use them? Overthinking. Well, overthinking is a little negative, no? The connotation is a little negative. Overthinking, someone who overthinks is someone who's thinking too much, too much, too much, too much. In this case, I would say thinking over learning or thinking about learning. You know, it's reflecting. If there's a lot of reflection involved. Number three, awareness about our own learning process. Exactly, that is one important part of metacognition, to be aware of how we learn. Okay. And then we have teacher students to be independent. Yes, that is one important part of metacognition strategies for the teacher. Tools and materials appropriate to each student. Yes. Reflecting, overthinking. There's a spelling mistake over there. Learning at our own pace. Yes, you can say that. And learning to learn. That is one of the most important things, learning to learn. Betty, don't worry. We're just reading and then we're going to go on to some comments. What I want to learn about it. Let me see what you want to learn about this, about metacognition today. I would like to know about how metacognition would help me and my students. That is important, people. Knowing about metacognition is not only help your students, it's going to help you, and it can help everyone in every single aspect of our lives. We're going to see a little bit about how we think, how we react, how we assess, and how we make decisions. Not only in the classroom and not only in the English classroom, but in every aspect of our lives. More or less, what we're going to be speaking about today is about how to have control over our mind and the way we think. How to implement it? Yes, we're going to go through some practical aspects, no? Because theory is fantastic, but most importantly is how to apply theory to our classroom. How this topic could be used and what kind of strategies could be implemented. Yes, skills in the classroom. I want to know how it can improve our students' critical thinking. Yes, of course, critical thinking is very involved in this topic. How this kind of topic could be connected to make or establish a connection among a daily real situation. Yes, we need to go over that. I would love to know everything about it. Everything, I might not be able to tell you everything, but at least I'm going to give you some guidance. And you, after this session is over, you're going to have some clear ideas about what to research about. So I am not so fluent in teaching and learning theories, though I've been teaching for a long time. Teaching theories are important. We should not be just technicians, English technicians, just go and teach up in your books, etc. We need to know about how learning takes place and how students learn and how they can retain all this knowledge in their memory, and also to put it into practice, to move it from the short-time memory to the long-time memory, and then being able to exteriorize or to put everything into practice little by little. Okay, why is critical thinking important in teaching? Yes, how this could be combined with differentiated learning styles. That is very important. Learning styles is one important part of metacognition. Of course, I like to learn. It would make easier the process for both teachers and students. Definitely, yes. Implementation and better understanding of the process. Could metacognition be combined with STEAM? Yes, we need to see all about it today. As I mentioned at the beginning, I might not be able to cover all and every aspect of metacognition because this is something wide, but at least I'm going to give you some hints and the basics. And we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, then Betty's telling us that she couldn't write anything because she has having something that, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to my presentation. But before I go to the presentation, I am going to post you another link. No, we're going to go to the presentation. Just give me 1 second because I'm still learning, right? About these things. Oh. People, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we go to the next slide. Before we go into metacognition, obviously we need to speak about cognition because that is a little like it's a step below metacognition. Then we're going to speak about cognition first, and then we're going to move on to metacognition. So what is cognition? Cognition is the mental processes involved in gaining knowledge and comprehension. There are 5 key cognitive domains: concentration, speed, remembering, calculation and problem solving, and planning strategies. Concentration means attention, how we focus our attention on something. Speed, it means it has to do with psychomotor speed and accuracy. How we can, like in this case, write and see and move, etc. Remembering, episodic memories, how all this knowledge that we receive or the input we receive in our classrooms or in everyday life events, we can store them in our memory and use them or retrieve them in the future when we face something similar. Calculation and problem solving, it's working memory. So we need to be able to identify problems and find answers or ways or strategies to solve those problems. And planning and strategy, when we are facing a decision, when we need to make a decision or facing a problem, obviously we need to see all that we have in our minds, all of the knowledge that we have, all of our past experience, and then we need to select all the skills or the strategies that we have stored in our memory, select the one that is going to work better for that problem, and then use it. So that is cognition, is the capability to react and to retrieve our previous knowledge that is stored in our brain. Elements of cognition, we have thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem solving. Let's take, for example, judging. We need to decide if something is good or bad, if something is better or worse than other things. Those are some elements of cognition. Remember, I am not yet talking about language or language instruction. I'm just talking about cognition in general. No? We need to think, we need to know, we need to remember, we need to judge, and we need to solve problems. To solve a problem, we need to recognize the problem, represent it in our memory or in our mind, consider the relevant information, identify different aspects of the problem, label and describe the problem to eventually make decisions about it. All of these are higher level functions of the brain, and they encompass language, imagination, perception, and planning. They are also called HOTS, H-O-T-S, which are higher order thinking skills. And then we have here this variation of Bloom's taxonomy. You know, the first levels, you see the bulb here. At the beginning, we have remember, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Let's say that remember, understanding, and applying are basic or lower order thinking skills, lower order thinking skills. On the other hand, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, they are higher order thinking skills. The brain activity is higher in those 3 stages: analyze, evaluate, and create. The brain requires more action. On the other hand, just remembering, understanding, applying are a little less demanding. And now we move to cognitive skills. We need to have concentration, perception, memory, logical thinking. Now I have this question. Now we need to move on a little bit to the language student or to the language learner. How are all of these cognitive skills, concentration, perception, memory, logic, and thinking, used in a foreign language learner? Why is it important? Why is concentration, perception, memory, and logical thinking important when learning a language? Can you use, please, the chat box and write your answers? I'm going to see what you write. Concentration, perception, memory, logical thinking for a student of English or student of a language, a foreign language. Are you there or are you sleeping already? Yes, Rosa Janet is telling you contrasting. Contrasting is interesting because remember, our students do not arrive into your classroom as a blank slate. They have previous knowledge about their language, about their culture, and then they contrast and compare all of those aspects with the new language and the input that we give them. Thank you very much, Rosa. I agree with you a lot. Next, somebody else, please. Usually language teachers are not that shy. I don't know what's happening today. Thank you. Use them as a whole, trying to comprehend. Yes, exactly, Martin. Yeah. Concentration will help on the process to decode the information as well as recode or give us information. I'm going to give you a more specific task. Let's say that your student has a reading comprehension activity. Does he need to concentrate? Obviously, yes, no? Does he need to perceive? What does he need to perceive? If the reading passage has headings, subheadings, an image, he needs to focus his eyes. No, that's perception. What he or she is perceiving. Memory. How can memory affect a reading comprehension activity? Well, it means that probably he read something similar. He or she read something similar before, and then he's remembering or connecting the information in the reading task to his or her personal life. And then logical thinking, he needs to be able to identify chronological events or cause and effect traits in the text. Good. I'm moving on. Cognitive process affect every aspect of life, from school to work to relationships. How well we learn new things, we form memories, and we make decisions. Among other, we are always thinking. And then we have skills and strategies. We're going to move on a little bit. We saw already what cognition is and why cognition is important in our lives to make decisions. No, we are not just like little animals that are subject to our instincts and desires, but we have this capability of thinking and deciding. Okay, now we're going to go to skills and strategies. As you may well know, there are some skills in language learning and teaching, and they are 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And 2 of them are divided. 2 of them are receptive skills, and 2 of them are productive skills. I am sure you know this. What I want you to do now is to go back to the Google document, and there is another chart a little bit behind, sorry, a little below, I think it's the section number 2, in which you are going to write what you think and what you know about skills, but sub-skills. What are the sub-skills of speaking, the sub-skills of listening, the sub-skills of reading, and the sub-skills of writing? And I added a 5th column, which is the sub-skills in social cultural knowledge. Could you please go to the Google document again and complete section number 2? I'm going to give you 5 minutes at the most. I think it's not section 2, it's section 2. It's page 3. It is, as you can see on your screen, it's page 3. It says skills our students need to master about speaking, listening, reading, writing, and social cultural. Can somebody please tell me orally or verbally if you know what we're doing, or if someone has a question about what we should be doing? Let me know. Okay, remember that the soft skills, if you need some help, basically speaking, self-confidence is okay, but intonation is something that students need to master. Intonation, pronunciation, turn taking, using idioms, using phrasal verbs. For listening, some examples are listening to main ideas, listening for detail, listening for homophones, listening for cognates, the gist, yes, listening for the gist, exactly. In reading, skimming, yes. The other is exactly, Betty. We have writing for writing and planning, forming a letter, punctuate. Yes, punctuation is essential. Mechanics también le llaman, no? Linking, using the appropriate layout if it's a letter, if it's, paragraphing, etc. Grammar structure, yes, for speaking. Yes, it's also important to speak correctly. Empathy, fantastic for sociocultural aspects. Yes, empathy is essential. Well, you're right. I'm going to tell you that. Remember, we're just moving from cognition in general. Now we are moving to skills and sub-skills. And now the next step, which is the essential part of this presentation, is metacognition. But I think it was important for me to show you what cognition is, and then the skills for the language and sub-skills. And now we're going to move to metacognition, because metacognition is going to help us or help our students acquire and memorize and put into practice all these skills and sub-skills. For reading, we have paraphrase, okay, yes, inferring, thesis statement for writing, word order, collocations, phonologic discrimination, yes, to differentiate sounds, specific information, social affective, yes, I'm going to give you a clue for social culture. Let's say, for example, manners at the table, which are very different from a country to another country. We need to be aware of that. Something additional could be social, how do you say, personal space, which is different between Mexicans and Americans or Canadians or people from India. Perspective or point of view, yes. Also gender, it's important we need to be careful with genders. How to address men and women, probably sometimes. How to say hello, levels of, register appropriacy. 2 more minutes and then we move on. Sylvia, don't worry. This session is going to be recorded. Listening for attitude, exactly, but that is important. We need to be able to identify if the speaker is rather positive or negative, is he judgmental, if he's happy or sad. Interjections also, no? Okay. I'm having a little hard time because my mouse just didn't want to work today. 1 more minute. Okay. 30 seconds. Assertive communication, that is essential. That is very, very good. Interjections, linking words, learn new vocabulary in reading, yes. For reading can be identify meaning or make up meaning of words. Comparing. Okay, thank you very much. Stop with this activity. We're gonna move on to the presentation. And I'm going to give you some answers that I have on the presentation. Déjame compartir, and then I'm going to share another. Okay, then this is what we did. This is the exercise we did. We wrote some soft skills students need to master. And then we have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then for listening soft skills, we can have listening as a total skills includes some soft skills such as prediction, guessing, scheming, scanning, discover the speaker's point of view, utilizing the context. For example, if the context I mean by if there are other sounds in the audio, if you can guess what place the conversation is taking place. Discrimination, to get the accurate message out of the oral message. Muy bien, that's very good. That's for listening soft skills. For reading, we have recognizing letters and words, which is basic. Recognizing meaning depending on structure, reading for the gist, reading for detail, reading for pleasure, evaluative reading, reading for specific data, identifying the main idea or the gist, etc. For facts and details. Now we have for writing, we have writing shapes of letters correctly for kids, writing words and sentences, dictation, rearranging the events in a story, modifying sentences, summarizing a test, finishing sentences, finishing stories, true or false, or also to decide if the text is chronological, cause and effect, if it's argumentative or what kind of text it is, that we are writing. For speaking soft skills, we have accuracy, using functions, appropriacy, turn-taking skills, how students need to know when they are to talk and then when they are to keep silent. Relevant length, responding and initiating a conversation. Prepare and repetition or self-correction. They need to be able to use the range of words in grammar they have in their minds and the use of discourse markers, like first, then, afterwards, etc. Those are the soft skills that students need to have. And regarding social cultural skills, We can mention some like knowledge of cultural peculiarities of English-speaking countries. Like in this case, I have a photograph of India. Habits, traditions, standards of behavior, etiquette, manners, and non-linguistic features like body language. That is also important to consider. Those are the skills and the soft skills. But then what is the metacognition, which is the central part of this presentation? Metacognition is, put simply, thinking about one's thinking, the process used to plan, monitor, and assess one's understanding and performance. Metacognition includes a critical awareness of one's thinking and learning and oneself as a thinker and a learner. I have prepared a video here that I'm going to show you. Well, I'm not going to show it to you because, as you can see, my internet is not tops. It's not like the best of the world. But I'm going to send you the link to your to the chat box, in which you're going to learn about this, or you're going to see someone giving a very synthesized conceptualization of what metacognition is. There's the link on the chat box. I want you to go to click on it and watch the video. It is like 4 minutes long. You just watch it, and then when you finish, just tell me here in the chat box that you already finished, and then we're going to comment on it. Oh, sorry. Yes, give me a second. I sent it to somebody person. Here it is. Thank you. It's a YouTube video. It's 4 minutes. Can you see the link already? Thank you. When you finish watching the video, just let me know.
Las Cambridge English Qualifications, como conocerán, el First, el Advanced, Proficiency, Preliminary. También trabajamos con Teaching Qualifications como STKT, CELTA, Delta. También tenemos la prueba Lingua Skill, de la cual nos hablaba Víctor ampliamente. Y IELTS, que es nuestro test más reconocido a nivel global para efectos de migración, para efectos de...
Thanks. Okay, people, I suppose you're finished. I now want you to please open your microphones, or if Mariano can help me, please, I want you to know your insights. What did you hear? What called your attention? Let me know, please. I want to hear your opinions. What is metacognition?
It's like something that makes you think how you think or how you learn.
I agree with you. Thank you. Exactly. Somebody else?
Yes, Luis, please.
Yes.
I think in my own experience, metacognition, it's a process. It's the one who guides you to learn or to discover what you want and in the way you want to learn.
Yes, it's a process, definitely. Yes, it's not something instantaneous. It's not something that you wake up and now you're metacognitive. It's something that you need to culture. You need to cultivate. Yes, and it's
Yeah, and
about
I
your.
think
Go ahead.
yes, and I think it's moving you out, or maybe motivating or pushing you in some cases, pushing you to find the correct way to learn.
Exactly.
But you have to work on it.
Yes, we need to work on it. And in right now, we're going to move on a little bit faster, and I'm going to move on to how the teacher can help students move to that next stage. Because we mentioned cognition. Everyone has cognition. We mentioned skills and soft skills. Our students need to know about the skills, the listening, speaking, writing, and speaking, listening, writing, and reading. And then they need to know the soft skills, but now they need to know how to apply all that knowledge, how to make decisions by themselves, and how to identify the way they learn and all the possibilities that they have and put it into practice on their behalf. Just one more last participation. Speaking, please.
Thank you.
Somebody else about the video.
Hi, Luis. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I just want to, according to the video, metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking. So this means you have to you have critique, and think if you have the ability to teach. So metacognition is about to know more about a certain topic, you know.
Yes.
That's all. I want to say more, but I'm here at work.
Yeah, don't worry. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for your participation. Yes, it is about taking the control of your mind, analyze the way you learn, analyze the way you do things, and assess in the end and evaluate the outcome. We are not going to do, there is another part, there's another section in the Google document that says what you are an expert in, and how did you learn to do that, and what advice can you give someone. That is interesting. Are teachers and very good teachers, or are preparing to become teachers, but I'm sure that in your free time you do all the things. And what other thing you to think and reflect, just to think about what you do apart from teaching and what you think you are experts in. Mhm. Let's say that you are expert in, I don't know, making handcrafts or working with wood, or you are an excellent chef or a cook, or that you love gardening and you have that specific mastery on that particular thing. And then if I ask you, how did you get to that level? How did you find yourself those abilities? You need to be able to tell me what you did, how you did it, and how you implemented the skills. And then if I tell you, what can you advise somebody who wants to start doing that activity, you should be able to say, well, people usually make these mistakes. They do this and this and this and that. But I suggest as an expert that people do this and this and that. You see my point? In this case, it's something that helps us understand how we understand and how we do things. I am showing you in the presentation, if you can see it, Flavos in 1979. This is a little bit about history. He proposed a model of cognitive monitoring, including 4 interactive subparts: metacognitive knowledge, metacognitive experiences, goals, and strategies. Metacognitive knowledge, that is the knowledge of the skills and the sub-skills. You know that you need to speak, write, read, and listen. And the metacognitive experiences are that you remember, oh, I know that the other day when I took this exam, I did this and that. I read for the specific ideas or for the main ideas or the specific details. When I write, I usually plan my writing and I do a scheme or a little concept map before writing. And then it's to know how to use those strategies and when to use them and decide which ones are better for one task or another. And then to have goals. Like let's say that your goal is that, or you have an activity for the class that by Friday you need to complete an essay, or you need to prepare an oral presentation about your city, or you have to write a letter to a friend inviting him or her to visit you, or to give some suggestions, or write a letter of complaint. And then the student, and with your help, the student needs to know all the capabilities that he has, all the resources that he has, and he needs to decide what to do, when to do it, and at the end, he needs to evaluate or assess all of this process. Then that is not a simple, it's not something very simple and easy. We all need training, teachers and students. Then I'm going to be moving on my presentation, and I'm going to give you a quick example. Anyways, you're going to have this presentation for you. I have in this slide, it says, okay, let's get practical. Metacognition examples. Some metacognition examples in life is that awareness that you have difficulty remembering people's names and social situations. No, reminding yourself that you should try to remember calling somebody for a given reason. Oh, remember, I need to call Susanita because I need to tell her this and that. Realizing that you know an answer to a question, but simply can't recall it at the moment. When you say, oh, I know that, but I have it in the tip of my mouth, and you don't know, you don't have the word exactly right now, but you are thinking that you know it. And then realizing that you should review a user's manual. Imagine that you just bought a new coffee maker and something is not quite well, and then you know, you remember that you still need to do something. That's thinking about thinking. And the last one is realizing that there is something wrong with your solution to a problem. When you do something like, let's say that you are making a new recipe in the kitchen and the results are not what you expected, then you know that something went wrong and you need to go over things again. In this case, you are assessing the process. And I'm going to tell you right now an anecdote. As you can see here, I have named this anecdote the crystal ball. Let me tell you about this. It's very personal. Some years ago or months ago, I do it I say it months or years because I do this very often. It's not one single anecdote. When I see that any of my students get better grades than average, like let's say that he always gets 7, 7, 7, and one day he got 9 or a 10 in an exam, or the other way around, when I have a student who gets always 9s and 10s, and suddenly one day he gets a 6, I always talk to them and say, for example, I say, no, I don't know, a name, Eric, Eddie, what did you do? What did you do to jump from 7 to 9 or from a 10 to a 6? What happened? What did you do? And then they usually answer, I don't know, teacher, it's just my result. And then I tell him, then I have at home a crystal ball. I'm gonna go and ask the crystal ball to tell me what happened with you. How come you moved from one lower grade to a higher grade, or vice versa, or the other way around? And that makes them laugh. And that's kind of like a funny comment, a fun comment. And so, it's a situation that is fun. But what I want to do is that I want them to reflect on what they did well, or what they did wrong. Because in this manner, it's not just, it's just not matter of chance, but they need to take control, identify what they did what they did well, what they did wrong, and then use that knowledge for future experiences. I don't know if you get my point here. Yeah? Okay, we're gonna move to the next slide. It says metacognitive strategies for EFL learners. In an EFL classroom, thus, rather than focusing on students' attention solely on learning the language, teachers should teach metacognitive strategies to help students to plan, control, and evaluate the learning. That is the basic metacognitive strategies that can lead to more effective learning and improved performance, especially among the less proficient students. Include the following. What are the techniques or the strategies that we as teachers can implement to our classes? Well, I have some ideas here. And the number one is, let me see. It is difficult for students to become self-directed when learning is planned and monitored only by the teacher. We need to share with the students the planning of the lesson and of the activities. Students must assume increasing responsibility for planning and regulating their own learning. Like at the beginning of the class, you can say, this is the objective of my class. This is what we are going to do today, and then how we can do it. What do you think we can do to reach this goal? In this case, here in the next paragraph, it says, teacher can teach students to set up their learning goals and make plans for learning tasks. By engaging in preparation and planning in relation to learning a goal, students can think about what they need or want to accomplish and how they intend to go about performing it. That is number one. Include your teachers in your planning, not only in your week's planning, but also in every session planning, in every stage of your lesson planning, every activity. You need to tell your students and share with the students the plan or your ideas, and listen to their ideas and how you guys can reach together as a team a goal. The next strategy is selecting and using learning strategies. As we mentioned before, there are many skills and sub-skills and strategies. And remember, every student has his own learning styles. I have in this image the VARK, the VARK, which is a test that discovers the student's learning style. You know, very frequently we ask students to make a learning style test, and we get the results and we write the results in the list, like Martita is kinesthetic or Lupita visual, and that's what all we do. But we need to tell students that the results of that test is for their own use. Like me, yes, as a teacher, it gives me some idea of how to plan my lessons, but it is for them to know how they respond to input and how it is more effectively to learn. Like in this case, in my slide, I say students must be able to think and make conscious decisions about the appropriate learning strategies to be used when solving learning tasks. For example, in an EFL reading class, readers may have several learning strategies to choose from in dealing with unfamiliar vocabulary in a text. Like, for example, identifying cognates, seeing how the word is formed, if it has an affix or a suffix or a prefix. However, teachers should make it clear to students that no single strategy will work in every instance or every time. Therefore, students must know how to choose the strategy that has the best chance of success in a given situation. So what I mean by this is that students need to know the learning style and need to know that they have different strategies. Like some students learn best by writing lists or haciendo planas or putting post-its on the walls or on the objects or recording themselves. Those are very different strategies that they can use. And it's not that they use the same one over and over again. We need to teach them to make experiments, you see, so that they find what is best for them each time. Now, the monitoring strategy. This is very interesting. One, students need to ask themselves whether or not they are really using strategies. For example, in a writing lesson, students learn several strategies to create a good essay. Among others are considering the audience and the purpose in writing. Students, for example, when they are writing, they need to pause occasionally while writing and asking themselves questions about what they are doing. In this case, students may ask whether or not they are provided the right amount of background information for their audience, or whether the details being used are effective in achieving their purpose. Let's imagine that you are in a class and the students are writing a letter. And then you can tell them, okay, please stop, people. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Do you remember who is going to read your letter? What words are you using? Just to make them aware of what they are doing, how they are doing. And then in the end, when they finish and they give you the letter, you can always give them feedback, like saying it was your mistakes are this and your strong points are this, so students know what they did good and what they did bad. Students need to be able to evaluate their own learning. What do they want? They need to ask the questions. What am I trying to accomplish? What strategies am I using? How well am I using them? What is the outcome and what else should I do? No, this is important. You have some questions. For question number 3, that says, how well am I using the strategy corresponds to monitoring the strategy used. They need to be able to say if what they are doing, if they are still on track or they just went astray. This happens very often when we ask them to prepare an oral presentation and we say, you need to speak about this. And they, little by little, they go astray and they start speaking about other things. No. And the question 4 and 5 relate to the evaluation of their own learning. Now, teaching metacognition, like any other processes, metacognition can be taught to students. The approaches in teaching students the metacognitive strategies include direct instruction, teacher modeling, and application. What I mean here is that the students, as you mentioned at the beginning after watching the video, excuse me for my dog, it's not something automatic. We need to teach them. Like, let's say that you are teaching a class and then you start the class, you set the objective, and then you make plans with your students. How are you going to do it? And that, or rather this and that. And then while the class is going on, you can ask them, okay, people, stop for a minute. What are you doing? How are you doing? Are you doing well? Do you have any questions? How can you do this differently? And at the end, obviously, we can evaluate the activity and tell them what they did well, what they did wrong, and how or why did decisions affect their outcome. Teacher's role. The teacher needs to set clear learning objectives, demonstrate, monitor cognitive strategies, and prompt and encourage their learners. Create an environment where it is okay to make mistakes. Model, discuss strategies to carry out activities. Give feedback and evaluation results promptly. Question students about the good and bad results. Prepare an exam round. Ask students what they are doing and how they are doing it, whether or not it is working, and how they can do it differently. So these questions are important so that they can make a pause in their work and think about their thinking. Think about what they are doing. Now, metacognition in online instruction. Right now that we have online instruction, the students need to demonstrate their autonomous abilities, and not only to learn about the class. They need to plan, they need to organize and distribute their time, and they need to avoid distractions online. How can they do that? Pues I think they can do that. I obviously know that they can do that by using their metacognitive abilities. They need to have a plan. They need to see how they learn best. They need to keep control of their actions and avoid distraction. An idea would be to have some forums on your online platform, discuss about how they are doing, assessments accompanied by checklists, reflections. Communicate open with students about expectations. Acknowledge that this is the and help them better understand their own learning and memory strategies. Other ideas might be a journal in which students might write their intentions, their goals, how they can reach those goals. Promote self-correction. Words, you just don't write the answer or the correct and incorrect things. Just mark their mistakes so that they can correct themselves. Activities, again, I say signal, I don't say correct, and prepare exam wrappers. An exam wrappers is when you have an exam and you give this exam back to your students, prepare a reflection activity in which a student writes his grade. Why does he think he got that grade? How much time for next exam, what he will do differently. So we can have the exam as a teaching tool also and as a reflective instrument. Now we are supposed to write the KWL chart. We are not going to do this right now because of time constraints. But what I want you to do right now, this is my summary or my conclusion. Their own work. They direct their own learning and they self-reflect. As I mentioned before, and you mentioned it at the beginning of this session, this is not automatic and they don't know how to do it. But it is part of our responsibilities as teachers to show them some strategies so that they how they can improve by themselves. Fully aware of the way they learn, they have the different strategies that they can use and that they can have a full control of their cognition and their learning styles into practice. They're going to be better, they're going to be stronger students, they're going to be more autonomous, and their work is going to be a little easier for you as teachers. Then, this is what I wanted to share with you today. And now I want to listen if you have any questions.
Okay, Luis, I have a question about the information you kindly shared with us today.
Yes.
How or what tip can you give a teacher that has 30 or more students in one classroom? That how can he or she promote this metacognition, and how can he or she apply the basics that you shared with us today with
this is that is a very important question because we have numerous students in a classroom, and the first thing and the most important thing that we can do is model. Because you are usually in front of everyone. Just call their attention, use a little sign or use a little something to call their attention, and once you have their attention, then you model. What do I mean by modeling? I mean, at the beginning of the session, set the goal, set the objective, and then say, okay, people, this is what we need to do. And then ask them questions. How can we reach this goal? I need to tell you something. This doesn't really have to be in English. This can be in Spanish because metacognition is something higher than language. It's thinking processes. You can say, okay, we need to do this. What can you suggest? What can you suggest if the topic today is writing a complaint letter? How can you start? What are you going to write in the middle? What are you going to write in the end? What do you expect to do? And how are you going to do it? You can do that in Spanish. It doesn't really matter. But then again, just change the cassette and you go into English. That's an idea. That's modeling. Another tip for modeling is when students are in the middle of, let's say that they started writing or they started answering an exercise or whatever, and then you say, okay, people, stop for a minute. What are they doing? Remind me what you're doing. What is the objective? Why are you doing this? Are you doing it correctly? Are you following the initial plan, or you moved away? Why did you do that? You know, it's just simple questions. And at the end, then again, the teacher models, you know what, we did this and that, and I think the results were good, but probably we could have done different ways. What do you think we could have done? That's the essential part, because no one knows already how metacognition works. So if the teacher, first the teacher needs to be aware of these principles, show how to use them, and eventually students are going to start using them. We need to be patient, obviously. I don't know if this more or less answers the question, but what I consider to be the most important is that students learn more by seeing than by listening, or by modeling, like by imitating.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, if you guys have any other question, if you guys have any comment, I would like to listen to it. Because remember, this is metacognition. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you learned. If you didn't learn anything, tell me why you think you didn't, and then we're going to help each other here.
Luis,
because those are the principles. Yes, Marta.
I think metacognition is an inner necessity if you want to grow and have evolution in every single way in your life. Thank you for your support. Love you, Luis.
Yes, Marta, thank you for your comment. And you know what, I told you this, I love you too. I want to tell you that at the beginning of this presentation, I told you this is not only for teaching English, this is for teaching everyone, everything, and it's for your personal life. You need to always be mindful. You need to have a mindset. You need to be reflective about, you just don't wake up and take a shower and go to work and come back without really reflecting of every action you take. You know, this is just moving some psychological knowledge into the classroom. Yes, it is not easy. It takes time, but it's going to help us. Always ask yourself as a teacher, why am I doing this? Why am I teaching like this? Am I getting the results that I wanted? Am I doing the best things I can do? Am I wasting time? Am I using time effectively? Are my students learning? They are not learning. Why not? And that's just in every single aspect of your life. If you want to lose weight, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Am I doing it right? Stop in the middle. Am I still in my goal with my direction? You know, it's for everything. And since our students are usually younger than us, we need to help them, giving them these strategies. Thank you, Marta.
Also, well, I think metacognition is important always, but right now with this situation that we are living, I think we need to promote it more, because most of the time students are used to be guided by a teacher. And I think right now we don't have, for example, in my case, I only have 1 hour and a half, 2 sessions of 1 hour and a half. So I think they need to try to study by themselves, look for information. Maybe I can give you a video, but maybe for them it's easier, I don't know, to create a mind map or something like that. And I think it is difficult for teachers, or well, at least for me, to let students like find their own ways. Maybe we are very traditional, trying to, okay, the teacher is
To be in control.
Yeah, well, for me it's kind of difficult, but with this situation I'm learning to use metacognition.
Yes, this is what you said is very important, especially now. We are not in the classroom. We cannot be there to answer every single question, but we need to help them little by little to let go, to make decisions about their own learning. And as I mentioned during this presentation, one good point to start is to let them analyze and to get or find their own learning style, their special intelligence that they are stronger in. And then starting from there, we can just give them some tips and hints about how to work by themselves. Obviously, we need to have committed students. people that are really willing to learn and that are committed to acquiring the language. If students are just taking the class just as another regular class and you just want to get a 6 or 7 grade, well, that's okay. That's the purpose, and they are going to get it. But I know there's always somebody in the classroom that wants to learn, and he or she, we need to focus, well, not focus only on him or her, but to give him the tools so that he can take control of his learning. And then in that manner, yes, we can be facilitators and not teachers. Somebody else.
I think teacher Sandra wanted to say something, but well, there she is.
My microphone. Thank you very much.
Here you go, Sandra.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you very much for this presentation, very much for this effort that you are making with your institution by presenting different speakers every time you have an opportunity. And this time I was really interested to listen to Luis because I heard him speaking at Mextisol and I was like, oh my God, if he is going to present something, I want to be there. And this was a very big presentation, and the material shared with us was very clear. This is the first time that metacognition is clear to me. Oh, imagine. This is very important. It's like having an axe that we are going to cut some trees, but if the axe has not been sharpened, then the efforts are useless. Maybe you are making a very big effort, but with metacognition in mind, we can really design things the correct way. Not only considering the learning styles. I mean, we have always been told to consider the learning styles and many things, or the sequences, but keeping in mind what metacognition means, it's like sharpening the axe, getting better results, maybe the same effort, but with real results, having students being responsible for their own learning. So a very big difference. Thank you very much for this presentation on the material that you prepared for it. It was very clear.
Yeah.
Big hug to you, Mariano, and big hug to you, Luis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. And you know what? Due to time constraints, I didn't show all of the slides, obviously, but it's going to be there. I'm going to give it to Mariano, and I'm sure he's going to give us the access to all of these slides. Or you can write to me, and I can send you the complete sequence of slides. And what you said is something very interesting about the axe, because you know we need to make students aware of how they think, because you know the educational system in our country sees the students as passive agents, that they just listen and receive and answer exams. But that is not and should not be the case. We need to treat our students as thinking beings, as people that are able to make their own decisions and to make their own strategies to learn, because that is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is that they acquire something and they master it. And if they do it by themselves, using their tools, they're going to get there faster. You see? And then thank you very much. And I also want to read one comment from Betty that says that as metacognitive strategies in our lessons would be great to deliver a great lesson for different kinds of learners. And this is not only with adults, or not only with kids. We can always ask the kids, stop, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing like this? You know, like kind of like the Montessori style, you know, having the students work with their own ideas and just guide them. Thank you, Sandra. Anybody else?
Well, I just want to mention just a quick reminder that on the comments, we have the link for the registration, so you can get your certificate of attendance for today's webinar. And also, I'm going to send the information that teacher Prezas is going to share with me, so you all can have the full presentation of today's topic. Please, teachers, another question for Teacher Prezas.
Okay, so good afternoon. I don't have any questions, but the same as the teachers, just want to thank you very much because it was very, very clear. And as teacher Sandra said, it was the very first time it was so clear to understand metacognition. And I just want to thank Luis, Mariano, and all the teachers that were very nice to write all the examples. So thank you very much.
Well, people, I just have to thank you very much for your attendance. I know it's sometimes it's complicated. Sometimes technology doesn't really work. But I just as a closure comment, I just want to say that we need to find ways to make our job more productive. And how can we do this? By showing our students their own capabilities and their abilities. Sometimes our students are not fully aware of how much they can achieve. And that is metacognition applied in the classroom. Is to show the students their own value, their capabilities, and to improve their self-esteem. To let them know that they can take control and not be controlled by the institution or the teacher, but that they can take their destiny in their hands by using all of the tools and strategies and knowledge that they have in their minds, whether they are young kids to old adults or senior students. They can all make their own decisions and take the control of their learning and their lives. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much again, Luis, for today's topic. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very helpful for all the teachers that were here today. Like I said, I share the link again on the chat box so you can sign up to get your certificate of attendance, and also with your email address, I'll send the presentation for today's topic. And well, on behalf of Servicios Profesionales de la Lengua Inglesa, I appreciate one more time, Luis, for your time in presenting today's topic that is going to be very helpful for our participants in the professional training for English language teachers. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. And I'll send the information of today's presentation as well as your certificate of attendance to your emails. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Bye-bye. In the chat box, there's my email if you want to hit me with the mail. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. A very big hug. And thank you very much. A very big pleasure to be with you today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sandra. Thank you, teacher.
Big hug. Love you. Love you too. Of you. Bye.
Bye-bye.